This is not going to be a video you probably have expected, but if you guys weren't aware, on May 6, 2026, at around, I want to say 3 o'clock ish, my childhood cat that I have loved and will always have ever since I have had him since I was 7 years old, Ozzie, has unfortunately passed away. Now, the reason why I am making a video about this is because I wanted to share my final thoughts and moments to you guys and letting you know that how much he meant to me personally when I was really struggling with my battles of depression, anxiety, like everything that you probably would not expect me to end up talking about in this video. So, when I was 7 years old, around the time still living with both my mom and my father and my brother, we ended up going to the Watertown Humane Society, and we each got to end up getting a cat for me and my brother. And when I was looking around and saw all the cats and kittens that were just sitting down there just wanting to go and find a home, I was looking into this one to where his eyes just caught my attention mostly, and that's why I was just like, you know what, that's the perfect one. I want that one. I mean, honestly, I wasn't able to speak as much as I could today because I was 7 around the time. But as the years went on, I was around by his side and he was around by my side. And after we ended up deciding to end up getting not 1 but 2 cats, 1 for my brother, 1 for me, I named him Ozzie. And honestly, that name really struck attention to me, saying like he's going to be my pal ever since for the rest of my life. And like I said, circle of life tends to happen and all that. Yeah, I'm just trying to at least take it day by day and all that. Like, I'm gonna just be honest. This video is gonna probably be completely unedited. Maybe it might be, I don't know. But I just wanted to let you guys know that there's some moments that I do need to share that really were some good times, some bad times, and not saying he was a bad cat or anything. Like, he was honestly a great cat. Like, I'll quote unquote say he was the snuggle machine. So, but anyways, back to what I was going to share. As I was growing up in my hometown, Waterloo, I was very struggling to trying to gain friendships and all that. And like I said, I don't want to refresh my mind back to getting into more depressing thoughts and all that. So that's why I'm going to try my best to not cry on camera, because this is probably, I'd say, maybe weeks that I have recorded this, but you'll understand. So, when I was struggling to gain friends around the time when I was living in my hometown, Ozzie was always there for me whenever I needed somebody just to get my mind off of things that would make me angry, make me stressed, make me worried, like everything. Like, a cat's there basically to keep you company for no matter how long as you need. And to the point to where I was really just thinking, like, there's nobody in the world that would possibly have the same feelings for me and care, that I was spending a lot of time by myself just trying to figure out, like, what would be my purpose of life and trying to understand, like, how well is he gonna know that how much I loved him and cared about this cat to the day I die, basically, is how much I've definitely had a ton of experience with him. But besides the point of that, my struggle with friendships was not great, and to the point to where it's just like he was always there for me whenever I needed somebody to just lie down with and just get my mind off of stuff. Like, he would always seek attention whenever I was just recording off camera, or either possibly just there whenever I was having a bad day and all that. But it's just been a blessing to have this cab for 18 years. And if you calculate that by human years, I'm going to let you guys know on a fun fact. That's about 84 human years for a lifespan of a cab. If you guys weren't aware, now you know. But, so getting more into him instead of what I've had to deal with and all that, it was probably, I'd say, around 2017 that when we found out that my brother's cat, Dusty, was starting to get completely hairy and furry. Like, I mean, obviously cats grow fur sometimes, but he was like a super fluffy cat. We had to take him to a pet groomer, and first time it wasn't a problem. The second time, I don't even want to describe what happened, but let's just say that there was a 50% chance that he could have made it out, but it wasn't what we expected. And then after we heard the news that my brother's cat, Dusty, had to be put down in 2016, 17, he was not happy about it. My mother wasn't happy about it. And that's when he decided to get a new cat so that way he can get his mind off of things. But it was basically not easy for Ozzie to get used to having changes go around since he's been with Dusty from the Humane Society. Now, getting into the situation to where I was going to describe more about the cat that my brother ended up getting around the time when Dusty passed unexpectedly. And it was a sad way on how it ended up going out, because I just don't want to describe it. But my brother got a kitten, same Humane Society. His name was Taz. Looked exactly similar to Ozzie, but as soon as we tried to basically get him to understand that Dusty was not going to come back, he was questioning probably everything, just started meowing every time, hissing, just, it was rough for him. And it probably, I'd say, maybe take at least a week to kind of cope with this way on how he was trying to adapt into realizing that this is going to be your new pal, your new friend, buddy. Like, Taz is basically, he was only a kitten, and we had to make sure that Ozzie wasn't going to do anything harmful and all that. So, but what I'm trying to say is that it took him at least weeks to kind of still be calm and cautious on understanding that we felt bad for his loss, since he was basically around the same time that we adopted him. And honestly, it was just difficult for not only us, but especially for him. I know how we can't tend to tell like how cats tend to feel and all that, and honestly, if you guys don't know, I am mostly a cat person compared to a dog. Like, it's not saying I got nothing against dogs and all that, but it's just so much ways on how I can describe why I think cats are way better than dogs. But back to the point I'm making is that we knew how much it was going to be a struggle for him to understand that we were there for him ever since when he was there for us whenever we needed somebody to just pet and snuggle with. He was quote unquote snuggle machine. So getting into one of the scary moments throughout probably my life and his, we started to notice that he wasn't going to the litter box to urinate. And at first I was thinking it was probably just a mistake or something like that. And then after I got the word from my mom saying, like, there's something going on with him and it wasn't good, I was in tears. And honestly, after hearing about currently where I'm at now, it's very scary to understand like how cats just don't know what tends to go on throughout their life, and I wish they understood. But it's like, we can communicate, they only have one word, and that's just meowing. So, but back in 2018, I want to say 2017, 2018, we found out that Ozzie was having some urinary problems, not like infection and all of that, because that's where it kind of got to my mind that I was worried about him and just didn't know if his time was going to be coming up and all that. Luckily it didn't, but what I'm going to say is that my mom said to me that if this would have continued to end up getting worse and worse for him to where it was like he was no longer going to the litter box to urinate, it was basically going to be around that time that either we would have had to get him on medication to see how long it would have ended up working, and if it didn't, we would have had to give him away, put him up for adoption. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep my composure, but honestly, this story that I'm about to tell you really shocks only me, but probably everybody else, when I'm going to tell you that he was almost put up for adoption. And honestly, after I felt like when this moment was going to come up, that after the medication that he was on to making sure that he wasn't going to the litter box and actually going to it so that way he could urinate and all that, because I thought he had a urinary infection. I'm glad he didn't, and I'm glad that I still got to keep him all the way up to this year, especially for the situation that came up that we would almost had to give him away. I just never thought I'd end up seeing him again. So, yep, it was very scary for not only me, but for him, because he knew how much I loved him and how much I cared about him. Oh, God. Like I said, I knew I was just trying to hold my tears back and trying to not have to cry. But when you love animals so much that they're always there for you whenever you're down, just not feeling okay and all that, it just it hurts. It really does. So that was one of my moments I wanted to share to you guys, and I never probably told you about, but there was a point in time where I would almost had to say goodbye early to him, either in a good way or a bad way, and luckily it didn't end up being like that. And after I got done graduating high school, he was still there for me, and I'm glad that he stuck around by my side and all that. 2020 came along, I mean, we all know how that year ended up going for all of us. Like, let's be real. But um, that's basically the time when my parents didn't end up communicating much anymore. Like my father, he was mostly just in his own space, trying to figure out like what's going on for his end. And as for my mother, she was also in her own space because she was going through struggles and all that. Me, on the other hand, I was just trying to keep myself happy because after I got done graduating high school, I just knew that things weren't going to instantly change. It would take time and all that, and sometimes they still do. But yeah, so getting into 2020 or 2021, I guess. Um, my parents ended up getting divorced. My mother took the cats, both him and Taz, and she ended up still caring for both of them. And I'm thankful to the day that I die that she still did that. I always made sure that I would always still go over there, seeing how he was, and trying to at least spend time as much as I could. But when 2024 came around, I was just basically trying to still contain my happiness and all that, and making sure that everything was fine for not only myself but for everybody else. 2024 was my struggle year, to where I was thinking of trying to say that if there wasn't any good things happening for that year on, from 2019 to the rest of my years that I lived, I just had no idea where I'd be. And I am thankful to this day that my cat Ozzie was still there around the time, because he was the one who really kept me up on my feet. Always wanted to snuggle, always wanted attention. And honestly, that was kind of getting back to the point of where I felt like I was just better off in a better place. And I'm not saying that for now, but around the time when I was really depressed, really anxious, very worried that I would just never see anybody who I've wanted to go and see ever again. I mean, it does take time, and it's not easy to cope through shit like this. So, but 2024 was basically my struggle year for not only mental health, but trying to prevent my suicides. And for the amount of times that I've probably attempted, I counted maybe, after thinking about it, it was probably a good 4 times when I had to end up going to the doctor and back. If you recall that video I made like years ago saying like why I was stepping away, was because I was trying to get my mind off of stuff. And now we kind of venture forth after 2024 into the next year, over 2025. There was one person who I wanted to go and see for years, and I am thankful to this day that they are still around for me every single day in my footsteps, because nobody knows what tends to happen. Sometimes I even try to get a word out to people saying like, hey, I'm fine, and sometimes I'm just not okay to share things that I don't feel comfortable sharing. But sorry guys, I'm just trying to wipe tears away and all that. But getting back to what I was saying, that around the time in April of last year, I actually got to go and meet up with one of my longtime online friends, Daryl, aka Ranger, on Twitch. He really helped me out through a lot of my mental issues, and still has to this day. He's kept me up on my feet. So, Daryl, Ranger, whatever you want to go by, I want to just say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being a somewhat brother to me for times like these. And for anybody else, like I want to also say names too, but if you guys are wondering why I probably sent you this video and wonder why I didn't end up saying your name and all that, let's just say that you've also been a big part of my life. And honestly, I would be there in a heartbeat to end up helping you guys out for whatever tends to happen throughout your lives. Because honestly, like, life's too short. Sometimes we just gotta take it day by day, and sometimes it's just like you just don't know how you tend to go through stuff like this and all that. But once again, Daryl, Ranger, whatever you want to go by, thank you so much for being the brother that I have always looked up to and giving me the respect that I have definitely have gotten that I should have had back in the time when I went to school. After you didn't end up going to the same school I did because we were in different cities around the state. But getting back to the last moments that I ended up having with my cat Ozzie. It was 2 weeks ago when I got the phone call from my mother, and she told me that so Ozzie has been acting a little strange, different. She possibly already knew what was going to be happening soon. I probably didn't. And I'm thinking, like, looking into his age, it's not getting any better. And I knew it wasn't getting any better. And honestly, it was just the waiting game to when his time was coming up. Because if anybody doesn't know, we can't live on forever. There's a time to where it's just called the circle of life tends to happen and all that. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer or anything, but it's just like, it's just a fact. But I got the phone call from my mother, and she told me that, hey, you definitely want to go and check in on him because he wasn't doing his best, wasn't acting the way he used to, where he would end up just wanting to go to litter box to do his thing, eat, drink water, snuggle, like everything. It was just quiet meows, and he was just basically trying to figure out, like, I don't know how else I can describe it, but I apologize for background noise. Somebody's vacuuming in the back. But like I said, this video is going to be completely unedited, and maybe I might edit it a little bit here and there with pictures of the last times that I got to spend time with him before the sad part comes up. So, so I got the phone call, and after I heard it wasn't a good one, I asked my mother in private text saying, can you please send me out pictures? Because I had pictures around the time on my Twitter platform account that I had back in 2015, and after I found out that somebody was impersonating my account on the platform, shame on that person, whoever the hell that was. I don't know who it was, but honestly, I still wish I still had those pictures, because there was a lot that meant to me. But after all the pictures that I got, I stayed up probably a night when I had to go to work the next day because I was just sleep deprived. I was just anxious. I was worried. Like, I really, really loved him so much that he was just basically my child. Not like necessarily my child in general for the one that I adopted. He was the one that I got to be around for, just to understood how much that I have was, I guess. I don't know. But getting back into the phone call situation, a week before his passing, I ended up spending one final time that I ended up trying to snuggle with him, trying to at least understand that everything was going to be okay. And honestly, after I found out for myself that I just knew his moments were going to be coming to an end, it was not going to be the prettiest. The ways, how I can describe was just, it was dreadful. Very, very dreadful. because he was suffering from a thyroid problem, and that's a usual thing when cats tend to age, that they are basically not wanting to work the way they used to, where it's just like he wasn't active much, he wasn't like corresponding much. Like, I don't know how else I can describe it. Like, he was just, he was dying. So it was sad to see that he was no longer going to be the same way as he was when I was there for him all the time. And the next few days passed by. I got another phone call from my mom yet again. And she said that she would give me an update if anything ended up getting better or worse. Let's just say that the first time after the urinary situation back in 2017-18, yeah, it was something. But going back to the fact that we're living on to today in 2026, I'm thinking like, oh, May is going to probably be still a great month, trying to keep my mind off of things. After I finally getting another phone call from my mother, the first time after she told me about Ozzie, I already knew it was not going to be good news. And she told me that he wasn't going to the litter box, he wasn't eating or drinking any water, and he was just slowly fading. And then after she just said, I think it's time, it was so much that was just going throughout my mind. Because I just didn't know when I was going to be able to see him for the last time. And luckily I was over there Sunday to give him as much love as I could. Because cats do need that whenever they just don't realize like how much you've been by their side and all that. Oh my god. Like, I'm so sorry, but I already knew this wasn't going to be an easy video to make. That's why I took weeks off after not posting content and all that, because this is a very hard loss for me. So, getting back to the situation of the day that the 24 hours sparked in, there was one person that I talked to a lot throughout my job that I currently am still at, and I thank them from the bottom of my heart. I'm glad that we have a connection. I'm not going to say their name because I want to keep their privacy and all that, but I really do thank them. But after I let them know, saying that I'm taking the whole day, because I just knew I was going to be an emotional train wreck, I basically gave you guys an update video before his passing came up. And I don't know if you guys saw it on like TikTok or any other social platforms. I shared the post on after his passing and all that. And I'm glad that you guys were there, because honestly I go through moments to where it's just like, what's the purpose of my life and how much is it going to matter to me if people don't understand how much I tend to go through? Because it may seem like I just hide my emotions just to keep myself positive. Sometimes it's so much that I tend to bottle up that it's just not okay. It really isn't. So, anyways, getting back to the sad news, and I apologize for anybody who was tearing up on this, but honestly, he was the cat for me. He was. So, my mom booked an appointment the next day after that phone call and said 3 o'clock. We're saying our final goodbyes. It wasn't going to be the best, but it was just what he needed to ease his pain. And honestly, I just wish he knew and understood how much I fucking loved him. So, I basically went over the next day, and I was just like, where is he? And I was just
around him the entire time. I didn't even eat myself because I just felt like how bad he was and all that. So, I don't know. Um, but getting into what I was going to kind of describe and all that, that he basically did take a last bits of bite of his food, got to say goodbye to my brother's cat Taz, and then after we took him down to the animal hospital where he was unfortunately cremated. My mother asked me if I wanted his ashes, and I said yes. And I still have them ever since I picked them up Friday. Because around the time I recorded this, they took them weeks at least to end up doing this. I even have like a paw print of a ceramic heart. I'll show a picture of it because I'm so. I just can't even talk anymore because how much this has really affected me. Oh my god. I'm like I said, I deeply apologize. Like I don't mean to be like the person I am trying to be and all that. I'm just trying to let you guys know that sometimes when you go through moments like this, you should check up on people. And I'm glad that people understood like how much this was really going to not be easy to cope through, and it still isn't. Like he was the cat. He was basically everything that I loved and cherished about. So to make sure I had this off on a good note, I can't guarantee it, but I don't know if my mother's going to get it or a cat. It's probably going to take me time to understand of like, do I want to end up getting myself a pet to keep me company and all that. And all I just want to say is throughout the bottom of my heart, all the messages that I received saying sorry for my loss and all that, and all the heartwarming messages, I really thank you all. And maybe you're not there for me all the time, but I know down in the bottom of my heart that you do care about me, and I care about you in the same way, and showing me respect, and I've shown you respect and everything else. So thank you. But to end this off on a good note, he's in a better place. He's in the same place as Dusty Rainbow Ridge. If you ever heard of that, I suggest you look it up. But yeah, it was just hard to see him say my goodbyes and all that and everything. So, yep. I don't know if I can say much anymore. Like I said, he was the snuggle machine. He was everything to me. I'm just in a whole wreckfest of emotions, I guess. I don't know. But I already knew that after thinking about making a video about this, like I was conspiracy thinking like, how long is this gonna be, and do I want to take the time editing this? I don't know, but like I said, I thank you guys so much for everything that you've done to support me and understand that whenever we get down in dumps like this and can't take it day by day, take it one step at a time, thinking there's no other purpose in life, there is. You just gotta find that purpose, do those things, because you just don't know how much you have in spare time. So, anyways, thank you guys for watching. I apologize for myself being a whole train wreck of emotions. So, I don't know how else I can end off, but yeah, I will be back to making the content you guys are looking forward to. I even got a video coming up around the time that Daryl was up here. We did a try not to laugh, so stay tuned for that. That'll be coming up eventually. I just got to get in the works editing and all that. But yeah, like I said, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you all for everything. So, yeah. Take care, guys. I hope to see you and making sure that I'm in a better mood and a better place and all that, because it's going to take time. Day by day. Yeah. So, take care. Stay safe. Peace.